How are ya? Really? Wow. Amazing. Anyways, well, not if that was bad. Then, love you. Praying for you. Moving on. Welcome to this video where we're going to be talking about what it takes to be a Division I athlete. If you're new here, I'm Gianna, and I am a Division I volleyball player at San Jose State, the San Jose State University, and I'm about to play my 4th year of collegiate volleyball this fall. Oh my gosh! Anyways, for as long as I can remember, I have dreamed of being a D1 athlete, and I committed myself really early on to the process to getting to where I am right now. And so I know what it takes. I've been very successful throughout my career, and I love the game. So I figured let's have this conversation, because that's what it is. It's a conversation about what it looks like. Can you achieve it? If this is a dream that you really have, a little insight to what life is like on the other side of a dream that you might have. So with all that being said, let's get into it. We're going to start talking about the 3 things that I have narrowed it down to from my perspective. I think these are the 3 fundamental characteristics that you have to be willing to commit yourself to if you want to be a D1 athlete. So let's get into it. Okay, number 1, the very first thing, and I think the word that sums up what it takes to be a Division I athlete the most is sacrifice. SACRIFICE, sacrifice. You got it? I want to make sure you heard me. Sacrifice, okay? I think when you are an athlete in high school and middle school, it's kind of built into your routine, and you don't have to do a lot of sacrificing, because a lot of what you would desire to do other than that sport, you get from that sport, if that makes sense. Like the friendships, the relationships, you guys are always out together, you go on trips, like you're not so exposed when you're that young to the world that you would rather be doing other things necessarily than hanging out with those people. You know what I'm saying? So when you get to the collegiate level, big difference. You have so much freedom because college schedules are not like high school schedules, and you're older. Like most kids come to college at 18 and they are a legal adult. There is not one thing that they can't do. There's one thing that they can't do, and that's drink at the age of 18, but that doesn't mean people don't do it. So there is a lot more out there for you to grasp when you are a collegiate athlete, and you have to be willing to sacrifice everything that you could have in order to get the one thing that you truly want, which is to be a Division I athlete. I mean, you're gonna give up so much of your time. You're gonna have to put in a lot of effort. You're gonna have to give a lot of energy and sacrifice even when you don't necessarily want to be at practice or at weights or in the training room, rehabbing your hip, or spending some extra time talking with teachers because that makes you uncomfortable, so they know that you're gonna be out for the next week every Tuesday and Thursday, you know what I'm saying? So you're gonna have to lay parts of what you want down in order to maintain your Division I status. And so I think that's the number 1 thing. You have to be willing to sacrifice your time, your effort, your energy, some opportunities. I mean, that's really changed with NIL, and now we have some of the opportunities that I know people like Noah Beck, he gave up soccer for and went to go do what he's doing. And hey, like kudos to him, he's doing a great thing, but NIL probably came out like a year or 2 later. So like how unfortunate and how big of a blessing NIL is now that we can do that and still play the sport that we love. But yeah, you are going to have to sacrifice a lot. You're going to have to sacrifice a bunch. The second thing or characteristic that I believe you must be willing to commit yourself to, or you must be willing to adapt as you come into this space, because you don't have to come to college having all these things. Like you're gonna learn them one way or another. But if you're going to be a Division I athlete and you're watching this, I think preparing yourself now and what you're doing to get there, like you're probably still playing your sport in high school or in club, like starting to adapt these things now will really set you up and make the transition from high school to college a lot easier. The second thing you must have is willingness. And I wrote a list, so I'm gonna read it off to you. You need to have willingness to be accepting, willingness to adapt, willingness to sacrifice, willingness to understand, willingness to change, willingness to endure, and willingness to be willing. Now, all of those are super important, but I think the most important one is the last one, willingness to be willing. Once you get through, let's say, the first year of your Division I athletic career, it's all about to happen again. And then after that again, and then after that one more time. And that's if you weren't a COVID kid, because you have an opportunity to do it again after that. You know what I'm saying? So I think what you need to understand is that you, in many senses, are going to have to surrender what you want, what you think, your mindset, what you believe about the sport, about the process of being good at your sport or succeeding at your sport. You're going to have to surrender what you think to where you are in that moment in time. And I think having a godly perspective on this really helped me, because I had to really redefine my terms of success in my first 2 seasons of college, because it was not at all what I thought it was going to be like. And I really had to shift my mindset. I had to be willing to think that this was all a part of God's plan. So having the perspective that God has a bigger plan really saved me and made me into the better athlete that I am now. But I think if you are trying to prep yourself, whether you believe in God or you don't believe in God, what you have to understand is that you have to be willing to give a lot. And you have to be willing to adapt to new circumstances, adapt to the way that whatever program you're in does things. They're going to have a culture, they're going to have a setup, and you have to be willing to adapt. Not willing to compromise, because I think if you stand on a strong standard and you go to a program and it doesn't fulfill that standard, you should go. And it's not like standard like, oh, y'all don't win 40 games. No, that's stupid. I'm talking about something that helps you stay upright, something that has gotten you to where you are, and you know you've worked hard to build this and maintain this in yourself, and you're at a program that's nowhere near that level. You need to go, because you're going to become like that, or they're going to become like you. And in most cases, when it's 1 against like 14 or 15, that's a really hard battle to win, because everyone believes the same thing and you're the only one who doesn't. I'm low-key talking about me right now, and I didn't even mean to do that. But the point is, you have to be willing to let go of your idea of what you think is gonna happen at college. Like, that's a big, big deal. And then be willing to learn something new, be willing to, start over, be willing to reevaluate how you assess yourself as an athlete, how you assess your performance, because the entire thing is going to change. When you're on a D1 spectrum, everything is so different. Like, even if you're not at a big school, everything is so much bigger, everything is so much broader, everything is so much more expansive. And if you limit your mindset to what you've once known and don't have and present that willingness to change, you're gonna be stuck like Chuck, and you're gonna hate your career and probably end up hating the sport because you weren't willing to do something different. So I think, as much as I think sacrifice is the number one thing, I feel like willingness is 1A, like not even A, just like 1 and 1, because they go hand in hand. And you want to be the best prepared that you can be for the sport when you come to college, but there are things that you're gonna prepare yourself for, and then there are some things that you cannot prepare yourself for. So that's where the willingness comes in, knowing and being ready to accept any challenge, to get kind of punched or thrown into the wind, and get back up and stand firm on your solid foundation and say, like, hey, I have my commitment to sacrifice, I have my willingness to change and adapt and be ready, and I can move forward. So I think that's a perfect segue into the last thing that I want to talk about. So let's get into the third characteristic that I think it's a non-negotiable, baby. Like, you have to have this in order to be a Division I athlete, or everything else I just said is literally null, void, and pointless. Are you ready? The third and final thing for this video, from my perspective and my experience, that I think you need to have in order to be a Division I athlete, is a mad, crazy, insane, obsessive love for the game you play, okay? If you don't have it, it's going to be a gajillion times harder, nearly impossible to be committed to being willing and to sacrifice for the sport that you're playing, because there's no need for it in your brain because you have no love for it. It's just this thing that you do. You have to have this crazy feral, in the best way, type of love for the game. Like, I am so in love with the sport of volleyball, it's not even funny. If I weren't committed to being disciplined, I would watch it all the time. I would play it all the time. Like, I would be a crazy person because I have so much love for the game. I just, like, it runs through my veins and I can't stop it, and I don't want to stop it because I love it. But I love it healthily. I don't let it consume my life. It is a large part of what I do, obviously, as a D1 athlete, but I, down to my core, and I believe that this is intentional, just have such a fervent passion and desire to excel at the game, to play the game, to be around the game, all of that jazz. And I think it's interesting because I played sports growing up, and I played all these sports. Like, I was a cheerleader, I danced, I played basketball, I ran track. Everybody played Pee Wee soccer, but like, I basically did everything for the most part. But I didn't play volleyball. Like, I didn't make the team. And I remember when I didn't make the team, like, I was so sad and I was so dejected when I didn't make the team. And then 2 years later, I turned around and I made the team my freshman year of high school. But I thought that I was going to play basketball for a long time because my father played basketball and he loved basketball. But 8th grade year? Yeah, when I got to my 8th grade year in middle school, I was like, I don't like this. Like, there's not even close to love. I don't like this. And I was good at the sport. Like, I could have gotten better. Obviously, I was only like 11. Like, I was good at basketball. I was really good at track. Like, we're not even gonna talk about that because I love track so much. And we're talking about things that I don't love right now so you can see and understand. But when I turned to volleyball, my 9th grade year, played, didn't know what I was doing, had an amazing time, got to club, and I saw the level at which the sport could be played, I was hooked. I was enamored. Like, and I knew from then there was nothing going to stop me from getting to that level. That love and the drive that's behind it, all that passion, has sustained me for such a long time, because you can commit yourself to sacrificing and to being willing and disciplined and all that good stuff, but you're gonna get tired. You're gonna get sick of being in the gym. You're gonna get sick of squatting. Okay, because you're gonna do a lot of squatting if you're a volleyball player, and doing chin-ups and ab rollouts and running in the off season and being at a gym in the off season when you want to be somewhere on a beach. Like, you're going to get sick of it. But when I get sick of it and I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore, those words don't even form in my brain, because I'm like, yes, I do. It's all I want to do right now, and I want to do it till I can't do it anymore, and until I feel like I have run out of good ways to do it, and like, I'm gonna burn out if I don't. Like, I just want to do it until it can't be done. Like, you know what I'm saying? And so if you don't have that, it's going to be so hard for you to stay a Division I athlete, because the life demands way too much for you to just casually like it, or for you to just be committed to it because it's paying for your college. Nah, boo, you drop out of college. Like, it's that serious, because it's a lot of work. It is a lot of work. And if you can't put that work into perspective of the fact that you love this, you've dreamed of this, you've worked so hard for this, like, the fact that you have such a great and deep-seated respect for the sport, you stop. And a lot of people do. And I think that that's good, because obviously that's not what they were supposed to be doing. And maybe that's what they thought they were supposed to be doing. But I'm just trying to let you know, you gotta have that, because why we wouldn't even be here. There would be no Division I athletics if there weren't other people in the world that were extremely, insanely, stupidly in love with the sport, that they were like, let's create it for these kids who want to push themselves and get to this level so they can play it while they're getting a higher education. We wouldn't have this. So You gotta have it, man. Like, you gotta have it to succeed. It's fundamental. It's fundamental. Okay, so that's it. Those are my 3 things that I think are fundamental to coming in and being a good, solid Division I athlete. Sacrifice, willingness, and a mad, insane love for the game. I think that there are obviously a lot of other things that go into it that I kind of talked about or talked around. And I want to do another installment of this video where I talk about being an elite athlete and if it's attainable and what the difference is between what I just stated and what it takes to be a Division I athlete. I misspoke. What it takes to be an elite Division I athlete. And it's only one thing. It's only one thing. And I will, at least right now, I don't have anything else. But I think all 3 of those things plus one other thing is what it takes to be an elite athlete. And that's why most people are just Division I athletes, because they don't have that one thing. And it's a big little, what is it? It's layered. The one thing is layered, and it's not as deep or as frightening as you would think. Like, it's not unachievable. I definitely think it's attainable, but it's not easy. And I think that's why most people are just Division I athletes. So yeah, I'm gonna do another installment of this where we talk about that. And I want to leave you guys with one last piece of advice, and that would be to never give yourself to your sport, but always give your best, because your sport is not a strong enough foundation for your identity to stand upon. And God is the only thing that's strong enough for you to put your identity on. I don't care if you believe it. I don't care if you like it. I don't care if you want to hear that. I'm going to tell you that. But I think that's another reason why a lot of committed, passionate, loving, willing, sacrificial D1 athletes give up, is because they think that their sport is strong enough to hold them and make them whole as a person, and they find out that it's not when they get to college. So yeah, please don't come into college thinking, like, if you were thinking that, or if you have been someone who has founded their identity on their sport, which I think is really, really common for kids who are like on the fast track trying to get to Division I athletics, please know that you are not, like, you are too big, honestly, to be limited to being defined by a sport. In most cases, it's a ball and a net or a court or a field or a pool. And like that, how does that define you? It's a thing. So I think, yeah, please don't come into your sport thinking that. Like, I don't want you to ruin the love that you had, the work that you had, the determination, the commitment, the sacrifice, like everything that you put into it. I don't want you to ruin that by having this one fatal misconception that your sport is strong enough to hold you up and be your identity, because it's not. And I'm just gonna quickly shout out San Jose State right now, because they are so committed to making sure that we have opportunities to find ourselves outside of sport. And I don't know any other college that's doing it like this. I don't know any other college that has a Tobruk Blaine. That's right, you don't. We only do. And I'm so grateful and thankful to God for that. But yeah, you have to be aware it cannot sustain you. So that was kind of heavy. But with that being said, that's all I have for this video. I'm really excited to do the next installment of this, where we talk about being an elite athlete and what one thing makes the difference. And yeah, I can't wait till I see you guys again. I know I took a break, but girl, I posted like 6 videos last week, and I was like, ooh, I'm on a roll, and then the roll just like fell over, and I didn't want to post anymore. So I'm very excited to upload this, get back on my little YouTube space. And yeah, I will see you guys soon. Love you so much. And it's almost my birthday. Like, we on the countdown, girl. We on the countdown. She's almost 21, baby. She's almost 21. Anyways, love you much. I will see you next time. I'm praying for you. You're on my heart. You're on my mind. You are so loved and valued by God. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.